Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec and I'm your host. And before anything else, I would like to greet each and every one of you. Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time, then I hope that you enjoy this episode. If you do like this episode, go ahead and check out the other amazing episodes that we have here because for sure you can get a lot of value from them. And, hopefully you can share it with your friends and your family. If you are an avid podcast listener, if this is your nth time listening to Small Talk Podcast, and welcome back to the show. I'm so happy to see you guys here today. And whatever you're doing, I just want to tell you first and foremost how much grateful I am that you are sharing your energy, sharing your time, and committing to becoming a better version of yourself so that you can make better decisions for yourself and for the people around you. And I'm just thankful that you are here. And so this is actually the second part of the episode that I did. The previous episode that I did was basically talking about the power or why surrendering is important. So if you haven't listened to that one, go ahead and check it out. But for today's episode, we are going to talk about how you could surrender in your life. What are some practical ways in surrendering? Okay. So first of all, we gotta identify kailan ba or when are the days that we are called to surrender. And I realized that there are three types of surrender. The first one is trial by fire. These are the moments where or when crisis is here. Okay? These are the days that, for example, the pandemic. The pandemic, we didn't know, we didn't wanted that. I could remember the first time when the pandemic happened. I said to myself, "Oh, this will just last for like 3 months or 6 months," and then 3 months came, 6 months came, the pandemic is still there. So it was kind of calling me to surrender to the fact that the pandemic is here. Okay, I was still resisting. I said to myself, you know what, this won't last. We'll get back to our new normals. But then when I started to surrender, that's when I started, okay, what do I need to do now to maximize the time that I have here? Because I realized that in every crisis, there is an opportunity. And for example, the pandemic, of course, if we had the option that it didn't happen, we would take that option. But the reality is it happened. It's real. And so when we ask ourselves, okay, now we need to surrender, we can now learn, okay, what do we need to do now to maximize the time that we have here? And I've seen a lot of opportunities that came with the pandemic. First of all, is it provided me specifically an opportunity to spend more time with my family. Like this pandemic has brought my family to we were so close. We're so close right now compared to how we were before. And the pandemic is one of the main reasons for that. We had to go through this crisis together. We needed to adjust. We needed to take care of each other. We needed to look out for each other. And then it helped us become closer, right? And so there are a lot of crises happening right now, but there's always an opportunity underlying in every crisis that we meet. And that's the first one. It's easy to spot a trial by fire. It's when we're tested, when we're tried, when we're struggled with something that is incomprehensible. We cannot understand what is currently happening. It's beyond us. That's the easiest or the simplest way to know that we are called to surrender. This is something you don't understand. This is something you didn't expect. Then you need to surrender it. Okay, so that's the first one, trial by fire. The second one is surrendering anxiety and fear. Every single day we are called upon to surrender anxiety and fear, and this is something innate in us. We are the only creatures that can try to look what can happen in the future. We can try to imagine what the future looks like. The plants don't have this capacity. The birds, they don't worry where they will find, food to eat. They're not worried about that. But we as human beings, we constantly think about the future. And I believe that our minds can only stay in one place, right? So if we're thinking about the future, we're not surrendering. And so the daily ask for us to surrender anxiety and fear is here. Okay, every day we are called. And as I've said in the previous episode, surrendering is a daily practice. You need to surrender every single day in your lives intentionally. Like, it doesn't matter if you surrendered yesterday, it's still something that you need to do today and for every moment in your life. And when you learn to surrender anxiety and fear, when you learn to surrender the need to control the future, that's when you'll experience peace. That's when you'll enjoy every moment in your life. That's when you'll become free from the prison that you created inside your head that is full of fears, worries, doubts, overthinking. The only time that you can let that go is when you start to surrender. Okay, so that's the second one. The second type of surrender is surrendering anxiety and fear. And if we think about it, when we focus on our thoughts, when we think about it, we have total control of our thoughts. And just because we feel something, just because we think about something, doesn't mean that we need to act on it immediately. We have that space. That whatever we're thinking, it is up to us to think to whether act on it or not. Okay, so we don't need to act on it immediately. Our thoughts are just there. Our anxieties or fears, they might be there, but it's important that we have control over our actions and not let ourselves be paralyzed by anxiety and fear. And we can do that by surrendering every single day. The third type of surrender is accepting what is. Okay? You have your own perception of things, how the world works. And then there's reality. And we have this urge that what we feel is true is what is currently happening. But most of the time, that's not the case. We create these versions in our heads, but it's not something that is absolutely true. And so when we strip down our ego, we can learn that surrendering is finding the absolute truth, learning more about the absolute truth, the reality that we are living in. And even though there are so many things happening in our lives, there's so many perceptions of how we think the world is operating, we gotta not be rigid, not be strict with it, and be open in learning about the deeper truth, the deeper reality that is happening in our lives right now. So when we learn to surrender, we show trust and we accept that there is integrity of what is happening in our lives. The current reality. Okay, we flow with it. We don't resist, we don't hold back. We just flow with whatever life is bringing us. And once we do that, you know what I realize is that everything in life is happening for us, not to us. Everything that is happening will make sense in the future. Everything is basically setting you up for a better future. Change, that's what is teaching us. That's what change is teaching us. You know, that there is a better future ahead and we just need to go with it, to surrender with it. So how do we practically surrender in life? The first one to do that is to be present. As I've said, we can only focus on one state. When we think about the past, we're not focusing on the present. When we think about the future, where there's anxiety and fear, we're not focusing on the present. And so to balance that, to counter those things of regret, shame from the past, and anxiety, worry, doubt from the future, we need to be present. And how do we become present? I've been seeing a lot of beaches lately, and I have been falling in love with nature lately. And I could say that they are my greatest anchors to becoming present. I went to a beach last weekend, and I was there in the middle of nowhere, swimming and looking at this amazing view of the sunset. There were a lot of colors, pink, orange, magenta, and yellow and blue, you know, the color of the sky, the reflection on the ocean, like so beautiful. And I was a part of it. And being present is immersing yourself wholly to that situation, to that current moment. And everything was so beautiful. I didn't think about what I'm going to do later. I didn't think about what led me there. I was just there. And becoming present is the best way to surrender because you are giving yourself wholly. That's what surrendering means. You are present, you are in that moment, and you'll realize how rich and how beautiful every moment in your life is. And you don't need to go to the beach to experience that. You can do it right now. Like whatever you're seeing, whatever you're hearing, if you follow my voice, if you don't think about anything else, if you just hear and be present with what I'm trying to say to you, that's when you surrender. That's when you become fully present. And so be present. That's the first one. That's the first way to surrender. Okay. The second one is be patient. Be patient. You got to look at. Here's a really practical way to do that. So, for example, you go to the bank, you go to the grocery store, you go to the cafe, and you're waiting in the line, right? And there's this long line. Another way to practice surrender is by being patient. So, for example, you're in that line, and you know there's a lot of people stressing out. There's even this one person who cuts in the line. One way to practice surrender is by being patient, by saying, okay, that's what's happening. This is my current situation. I'm not going to try to fight it. I might be late. I might be, whatever might happen in the future. I don't care. Like, this is my current situation. And so I'll adjust. I'll accept. I'll surrender. Okay. So also you can do this when you're in traffic. Like when you're in the middle of traffic and you know you're in traffic and you know you're stuck. Instead of, road raging and being mad and being so frustrated and throwing out all these garbage energy out there, like look around. Look at your scenario, or you're playing some music. Enjoy the music. Look outside. You'd see some people are also road raging, but some people are enjoying their trips. Vibing, enjoying the song, playing some music that they like. Enjoying the present moment. And that's a sign of surrender, being present. And so when you also become patient with wherever you are, then that's a sign of surrender. Okay? So be patient. That's another way to surrender. The third one is a connection to the second one, is to be kind. Okay? So for example, you're in that line. When someone wants to cut in front of you, instead of trying to badmouth him, let him say, okay, maybe you need to go somewhere. Maybe you need this so urgent. Maybe there's an emergency. Okay, you can go. You can go in front of the line if you want. Being kind and being patient, it's a great way to surrender because what it does, it relaxes your ego. And surrender, the main enemy of surrender is your ego. Your ego wants to tell you, now, you deserve this, you want this, you have to have this immediately. You want that instant gratification. Okay? But when you're kind, you allow yourself to, not destroy your ego, not remove your ego, but relax your ego. You don't need to remove it, but you just say, okay, this is what is happening in my life right now. And you don't need to prove yourself. You know your worth. And you know that there are, a lot of things happening around. There are a lot of moving parts. And you come from a point of empathy. And when you come from a point of empathy, your ego starts to relax. And that's a great sign for you to surrender. And I'm not saying that you should always do this. Nah, you don't have any direction anymore. Dedication, rigor, and commitment is very important. But so too are kindness, compassion, and love. So make sure that you try to apply that every single day because that will also help you to surrender. The fourth one is to be grateful. Okay, the fourth way to surrender is to be grateful. When you start to be grateful, we have this thing called the confirmation bias. When we want, for example, a new car, let's say we want a Honda City. Now, I wanted the Honda City before, and when I went out, I was driving outside, all I could see was Honda Cities everywhere because our brain is always looking for proof, for evidence of what we're thinking is right. So if we think about that Honda City, then our brains will always look at, try to filter out, okay, where are the Honda Cities? What are the Honda Cities here? You'll focus on that. You'll try to confirm what your truth is with your confirmation bias. And once we understand that, we can learn that we can do that for our surrendering. We can do that when we become grateful. If you focus on your problems expand. Imagine the day, right? When you wake up in the morning and you know it's a bad day, it's going to be a bad day. But when you wake up in the morning and you feel like everything's going to go right in your way, then that's what will happen, because that's the confirmation bias. And so when we look at our problems and we look at the things that we don't have, we'll always never have enough. But once we look at the things that we already have and we become grateful for them, that's when the abundance of life happens. You'll see that you have a lot of things in your hand. You see a lot of things that you need to be grateful for. And you start to confirm yourself. Your brain starts to confirm yourself that you are grateful, that you are blessed. Quick practice. Every single day, the first thing in the morning, say that you are blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. Every moment in the day, say that you are blessed. And eventually, the blessings will come. The wins will come. And you'll become more blessed. That's what gratitude does. Okay? And that's also surrendering to what is really happening in your life. And that is a life that is full, a life that is abundant, a life that is rich. Okay? When you start to surrender, you'll see that. So be grateful. And the last one is to be excited. When you want to surrender, you got to be excited for every single day. You got to look out for all the miracles that might be happening for you within the day. And you can do that by being excited. And how can we become excited? We let our inner child lead. We got to become engaged. We got to become curious. We got to try things. We got to explore things. We got to be excited about everything that may happen within the day. I've tried to practice surrendering the past few weeks, and I've learned that every day is worth waking up to. I'm not scared to die, but I'm so excited for every day that might happen. For today, for what might happen later. I'm excited, whether it's a pleasant thing or an unpleasant thing, whether it's confirming with my achievements or whether it's a change that I do not want to experience. I am excited for what may happen. Understand that you are the main character in your movie. You are the main character in your life. And the main character has a lot of interesting takes, interesting routes to go to. The main character has an interesting story and an exciting one. And you got to be excited for that. You got to be excited for your future. You got to be excited for your story, for your life. And you can do that by surrendering the present moment. To being excited for today. Not about tomorrow, not about yesterday, but today. Be excited for that. And so those are the ways that you can surrender. You got to be present, be patient, be kind, be grateful, and be excited. And so let me know in moving forward, what will you do to practice surrender more? Okay, share your answers. Do not forget to tag me on Instagram at Alec Cuenca. Share your answers. What is the one thing that you'll do moving forward for you to surrender more? Okay, if you like this episode, go ahead and share it to your social media accounts. Do not forget to tag me at Alec Cuenca. At Small Talk Podcast is not active anymore, so make sure you follow my personal account at Alec Cuenca. And also, follow me on YouTube, on TikTok, watch my videos. I'll be announcing a lot of live events very, very soon, a lot of exclusive webinars very, very soon. So make sure that you follow me on Instagram so you can get updated with that. We'll also do a meet and greet, a live event, a live podcast recording for you guys. So make sure that you are following me on Instagram, because that's where I will announce all of those things. And also, if you want a lighter version of the podcast where I talk about my worst mistakes, it's a really free-flowing humorous podcast. It's called Don't Grow Up Podcast. It's a podcast I did with my cousin. So if you want to check that out, go ahead, search for Don't Grow Up on Spotify. And yeah, enjoy. But yeah, don't be surprised. You'll see or you'll meet a different kind of Alec there because that one is more light, more free flowing, and more fun, I guess. Less serious, but than this one. But if you like that, go ahead and check that out. But if you do like this, go ahead and binge watch the other episodes out there. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. My name is Alec Cuenca. This is Small Talk Podcast, and I'll talk to you guys next episode. Peace.